This is John Cole with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. I'm here at the 2014 Woodstock Fruit Festival. Have the opportunity to interview many of the different pioneers and presenters here at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, one of which I greatly admire and look up to. It's Dr. Rick Dina, DC. He's been into a 100% vegan, predominantly raw food, whole foods diet for the last 27 years now. You can learn more about him and his wife, Dr. Karen Dina, DC, at rawfoodeducation.com. The reason why I wanted to have Rick on the show today is actually to share with you his experiences with can kale mess up your thyroid? I know many of you guys may have heard that. That's probably why you turned this video on. Kale and other cruciferous vegetables, they say, will mess up your thyroid, and you shouldn't eat kale because although it's good, it's also bad. And I hate how they always say these good things for us are bad. So we're going to get Dr. Rick with all his experience and doing this particularly and eating lots of cruciferous vegetables, his opinions on that for you guys. So Dr. Rick, what do you think about can kale mess up your thyroid?
Hey John, that is an awesome question, and I'm really glad you asked me that question. As my YouTube subscribers know, I recently made a video about my personal raw cruciferous vegetable consumption over the last 27 years and my recent thyroid panel. So you can go watch that video on my Raw Food Education YouTube site, although at some point I'm going to be changing it to my name, Rick Dina, R-I-C-K-D-I-N-A. Depending on when you're watching this, it may have changed. You can always go to rawfoodeducation.com and follow the link from there. But in any case, I made a video talking about my raw cruciferous vegetable consumption over the last 27 years. And pretty much most days of my life, in the evening, I have one medium-sized head of raw cauliflower. And I did the math and everything, and you can watch the details on the channel, but I figured over the last 27 years, I've consumed approximately 8,000, not 100, 8,000 heads of raw cauliflower. Most days of my life also, I put several leaves of either kale, or more recently, thanks to John's inspiration with his Growing Your Greens channel, tree collards from the backyard, a couple big huge leaves of tree collards in a fruit and green smoothie that I'll have during the day. So every day I eat pretty large quantities of raw cruciferous vegetables. I had a recent thyroid panel done, thyroid stimulating hormone, free T3, free T4, and thyroid peroxidase antibodies, and all of that stuff was absolutely in the optimum range. So massive amounts of raw cruciferous vegetables for almost 30 years, perfect thyroid function. So that, number one, that's the first way I can answer this question, and I hope you're getting the idea that kale does not have to mess up your thyroid. But why do people say that? There are so many examples out there where there's a little bit of information and people come to conclusions based on a little bit of information, and I see that as sort of the tip of the iceberg. But once you go underwater, there's a lot more iceberg under there, and you might, when you get the bigger picture, come up with some different conclusions. So I am a certified nerd, and my wife is even nerdier than I am. We have, in addition to our personal experience, she's been eating a raw vegan diet for 24 years, vegan for 25. We have a lot of education in our doctoral degrees. We've had a lot of clinical experience over the years, and we've done tons of research in the peer-reviewed literature about raw food and about nutrition to put together our Science of Raw Food Nutrition series of classes. We got about a 100-hour curriculum. And here's how it goes. Here's the little bit of information that gets people. Cruciferous vegetables contain these substances called glucosinolates. It's a family of compounds that are really beneficial for us, and they're really good. When we chew our food, we liberate enzymes. A lot of you have heard out there that raw food contains enzymes and that enzymes help digest our food. That's true. There are some enzymes that do other things in our food. So when we chew up our food, there's an enzyme called myrosinase. When we chew up cruciferous vegetables, raw ones, there's an enzyme liberated called myrosinase. And myrosinase acts upon glucosinolates and turns them into other substances known as isothiocyanates. Try saying that 10 times fast. And isothiocyanates are even more cancer protective than glucosinolates. So they're absolutely awesome for you. Now, It has been thought, though, that these isothiocyanates can actually block the uptake of iodine. So then here's how the logic goes. Isothiocyanates in raw cruciferous vegetables block iodine uptake. You need iodine to make the thyroid hormones, T4 and T3. They are named based on how many iodine atoms they have in there. So the main hormone that your thyroid gland makes is T4. And then in your peripheral tissues, mostly in your liver and your kidneys, there's an enzyme. Some of you nerds will be excited to hear this. It's called 5'-deiodinase. It takes an iodine off of T4 in a certain position and turns it into T3. And T3 is the thyroid hormone that's most metabolically active. So the whole idea is if you don't have enough iodine because isothiocyanates are blocking your iodine uptake, that your thyroid gland won't be able to function because it won't have some of the most important raw materials that it needs to produce its products to run the metabolism in your body. In reality, it doesn't always work that way. I'm like the extreme example and I have perfect thyroid function. So if you are super low in iodine and you've got some other borderline health problems, large quantities of raw cruciferous vegetables might not be good for you if you've already got a diagnosed hypothyroid condition. So there was one example in the medical literature, a case study, where an 88-year-old Chinese woman presented to an emergency room hospital in the New York area. And her family brought her there because she had gone into a coma. And she went into a coma because her thyroid function had gotten extremely low and just everything slowed down in the body and it wasn't working right. So she's 88 years old, she had type 2 diabetes, and she had heard that vegetables can help her recover from diabetes. So she had eaten 2 to 3 pounds of raw bok choy every day for the previous several months. And in her case, that was devastating. And it took her a while to recover, but fortunately she did. But just because there's one extreme case doesn't mean you can apply it to everybody. So if you are somebody with a diagnosed hypothyroid condition and lack of iodine is the issue, there are several other issues that can cause thyroid problems. That's part of why you have to go to a clinician who knows what the heck they're doing, knows this stuff inside and out, backwards and forwards, has seen it for many years, and can make sense out of what's going on. So there may be some cases where large quantities of raw cruciferous vegetables may not be appropriate, but there is nothing clear in the scientific literature that says that they are damaging for the thyroid for everybody by any means. There is absolutely nothing clear. It's all speculation, and I would hate to see people avoid these incredibly highly nutritious foods based on speculation and myths that come from the very top of the tip of the iceberg. Whereas when you go down to the rest of the tip of the iceberg and you get underwater and see more of the big picture, that they're just myths.
So Dr. Rick, would it be fair to say if somebody hasn't really been eating a whole lot of cruciferous vegetables their whole life and they want to get into eating more cruciferous vegetables because they know the health benefits and they want to feel better, they want to get into juicing and all this kind of stuff, is it safe for somebody to start eating cruciferous, or will they potentially have some problems? I mean, you've been doing this for the last 27 years, so you're, pretty healthy. But, for the average American, think it's wise and beneficial, or can it cause problems?
I would say the average person out there is eating potato chips, hot dogs, pancakes, French fries, pizza. Absolutely. You want to add some raw cruciferous vegetables in where you're getting far more nutrients, far fewer calories, all sorts of good stuff. I would say that is a huge step in the right direction. And once again, I'd hate to see anybody miss out on that because they're afraid it's going to mess up their thyroid. Those foods are going to help you lose weight. They're awesome. And just in case you're really, really concerned, then you know what? Steam your cruciferous vegetables, because in the steaming process, you break down enzymes. So you'll break down that enzyme myrosinase, so it won't make isothiocyanates out of the glucosinolates. You'll still just have glucosinolates there. They're really good for you too. Not quite as good, but they're still really good for you. And then there's no concern, or extremely much less concern, about any thyroid issues.
So Dr. Rick, I know you do lab work and nutritional consulting, and in your practice of this, can you help determine if it's all right for somebody to eat cruciferous vegetables or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that and so many other things. And one of the beauties of lab work is, you know, we read all this stuff on the internet, speculation, this and that, little pieces of bits and pieces of information taken out of context, soundbite here, soundbite there, without going below the iceberg, you know, below water to see the whole big picture. So absolutely, I mean, we can check your iodine status, or iodine if you prefer. It's the same substance no matter how you say it, potato, potato. We can check your thyroid panel and see how your thyroid is actually doing. We can check a whole bunch of other things and do a basic health assessment, and that's what I do in my practice all the time. We utilize a history and personal concerns and what the person's lifestyle is, along with various components of lab work, to get a big picture about where the person is. And those pieces of information can help guide people as to what's most appropriate for them individually. So we can make sure that your thyroid's working well, your adrenals are working well, you know, your heart and lungs and your cholesterol and your B12 and iron and, you know, all those other things are all working properly. And it really can make a difference to help fine-tune things for each individual. Because two people can eat the same thing. In fact, it's fascinating in my practice. I've had a lot of couples in my practice who basically eat just the same way. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They work together, they eat together, they follow the same kind of plan. And sometimes their lab work looks really similar. Other times it looks really different, because they're different individuals and they process things differently and their metabolism is different. So I will sometimes say, look, you know, you need to do one thing and the other person needs to do something else. So it's so helpful for fine-tuning for each individual. So coming full circle, it can absolutely help to determine if raw cruciferous vegetables are appropriate for an individual or not.
Wow, I think that's truly the way to know, to get tested. I mean, I personally have used Dr. Rick to, you know, analyze my lab work, and he's made some excellent suggestions to only increase and better my health, and I'm sure he could definitely help you as well. I mean, Dr. Rick, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you and your wife and learn more about you and all that stuff?
Yeah, best way would be our website, rawfoodeducation.com. We've got a tab. It's August 2014 here, so we have a tab. We're going to update our website eventually. But we've got a lab work and consulting tab, so you can click on that, and it explains a bit how the process works. You know, we talk on the phone or over Skype, and then depending on what country you're in, I'll either recommend what tests to go get, or if you're in the United States, I can send you a slip for Quest Diagnostics or LabCorp, or I have some other labs that have home kits that I can mail you where you prick your finger, and it explains how all that works and what my fee is, which is always extremely reasonable. I charge much less than other people with my same qualifications, and even less than some people with far fewer qualifications. So it explains how all that works, and then on that website we have information about our online classes, our Science of Raw Food Nutrition series of classes, our Facebook page, and my wife and I YouTube channels. So it's all on our website.
Awesome, Dr. Rick. So yeah, I'll put that link down below for you guys to check out. Definitely would recommend and encourage you guys to check Dr. Rick out. Both him and his wife have definitely saved me a lot of time in researching and learning about many things, because I trust them literally with my life, and hopefully you will too. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Yes, you can now eat some kale if Dr. Rick says.
Go for it.
And we'll see you next time. And until then, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best. All right, this is John Cole with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and I'm coming at you from the bathroom to share with you guys one of my most important things you guys should be doing in the bathroom: going to the bathroom properly. Actually, just kidding. I already have a video on that. I'll put a link down below.